Not exactly Sunday, but here's my weekly vlog. It's SketchAlona episode 52. Let's go see what's happening in Barcelona while I show you what's going on in my sketchbook simultaneously. So yesterday we went out for a couple of beers. My new flatmates have been trying to drag me out to these intercambios, which are like language exchange things where Spanish speakers and English speakers, or other languages, show up and have a beer and hang out together. And there's a very open, fun atmosphere where people just go up to each other and like, hey, so you want to talk our language? Okay, let's go. And like, who are you? Blah, blah, blah. So you just have these little conversations, to practice your skills, which is pretty awesome. And so I went for the first time last week, and it was pretty cool. It was really fun. So we went again yesterday. And I have an old coworker from London, from Sweden, visiting Barcelona. So she came along with one of her friends. So it became like a really fun night out, and once again, just like yesterday, like last week, we ended up just hanging out with people at a table, and they joined us afterwards for a bite to eat, exchanging phone numbers, and it's just, just kind of a thing that happened yesterday. But now, I'm feeling a little rough. So I'm on my mission to look for a, what the hell is happening? I'm on my mission to look for a printer scanner. Watching Kevin Cross's Patreon stream, some of the fellas answering my question about what to get and what to buy. I'm definitely gonna look a little harder. So I went online and found a couple that are definitely interesting, even the one I used to have. And they can deliver them, or they can drop them off at a local store. I can pick them up there. So that's my plan B. Right now, I'm going back to two more stores. I found one very close to my house nearby. And yeah, seeing if just maybe they got one. A3 sized, which is double the legal paper, so to speak. And double US legal paper, that's kind of the size I'm going for. And yeah, hopefully not coming home with like, I don't know, a Nintendo Switch or something and Mario. Just trying to resist very hard. So that's kind of like an impromptu little marketplace these guys got going. There's so the funny story around this area, so this is Clot, which is right next to Glorious, which is like the big roundabout over there, and so that's Torre Akbar, which is like one of the landmarks. And so right about where I am now, which is an impromptu little fairground, like only this week, there used to be a flea market, and it was totally illegal, and it was totally dodgy, and there was always like these big Middle Eastern dudes kind of standing guard, and it was fun, And so when they decided to do roadworks over here and completely tear up the area and build tunnels and just improve infrastructure, they built that metal-looking thing over there, and basically got people to move over there. Like, I don't know if it was free of charge, but it seemed like simply a nice gesture of the city to just build this really cool sci-fi looking thing and just give everyone a new spot. But that doesn't stop, all the people who are not doing so well still selling their wares whenever they can here in the street. And the local government having had a change of the ruling party, well, we don't know what's going on right now with all the independence talk and snap elections being called by the national government to basically dissolve parliament here. But the ruling party that's been changing things around here for the last couple of years is like far left, and so the attitudes towards the poor selling on the street completely changed, which is, it's been interesting to see how when I first started coming here, the police were literally chasing people down the streets, and like you always saw this look of fear in people's eyes, like putting their wares out on the street and trying to sell. And now they just have friendly little chats and be like, "Hey man, could you please move along?" You know, it's cool. It's amazing what what a little change of politics or heart can do in attitudes to the people who actually have to live on the streets and actually have to manage the streets for us. So, oh, okay, that last coffee was pretty strong, but I think I need another. So yes, so my hunt for the printer scanner. Shall I cross here? No. No. Let's see where this takes me. I'm gonna go to the shopping mall over here. There's a big cut of food upstairs. They've got lots of household appliances, but they also do have a tech department. So I just wanna make sure that it's not there because it's closer to home. So I could just walk home with it rather than having to take public transport. And if not, then I will be making my way to the big Centro Comercial at Selva del Mar. Have a look around there. They have got a nice food court too. Convenient. And then getting lost. As you can see, it's a bit of a work in progress here. But so I've just had a chat with the friendly salesperson, and you can do layaway, and you can order things from online, and you can come pick it up in the store. It's pretty much, I have lots of options available to me. But the unfortunate thing is, the one I wanted, they don't have it. So, and it might even be out of stock. So I guess I'm just gonna have to be smart and not get carried away and just buy an A4 size one, so I can have something now, even though I really thought about it. Or walk away with the brother one they had, which seems fine. I think that would be a worthy one as well. But trying to be smart about this and just go home and think about it before I plunk down 200, because you know it's a lot of money. Also, I didn't buy the Nintendo Switch, so I'm doing good. Yeah. I'm actually thinking of. I don't even know if I have time today. Like, what with the Punisher Netflix series coming out, and wanting to watch a couple of episodes of that, and just want to go home and like work on the comic book, and want to go home and work on the sketches for the V100 anthology. You know, kind of busy. But I'm also thinking of like maybe setting up the PlayStation back where it was, just so I can play a game. Because the flatmates don't seem to be particularly interested in playing games, so might as well just take it back. You know, maybe even download something.
¿Con quién? ¿Con la mamá o conmigo? Ven, no la escucha.
1 second, let me just... Oh. Hey, it's not working. That's working. Alright, so, welcome to my humble abode. I am rearranging. So I made a mess at the table. I've run out of space. So with the little pieces of furniture I have available to me, I'm just rearranging here a little bit. So instead of me trying to organize in this cabinet and having everything on shelves, I finally come to terms with me being very lazy, and I just want to sit down at the table and have everything around me, and I know exactly where everything is, and I don't want to have to clean up. So just like I had a very large desk over there when I was on that side of the house, I kind of have, the convenience here. Okay, so this art machine is still here, but I kind of have the convenience of having all these little layers of places where I can put my things down. So it's Saturday night. I'm kind of organizing. I just had I had a day out, and then with the two Italians, just kind of got into watching The Punisher and dozed off. Well, mentally speaking, I didn't actually go to sleep or anything. But oh, look what I found. Anyone? What are these? Cartas coleccionables. Trading cards. Found it. For opening the Mac, and I'm kind of like, I need to organize because I have the space, but I just haven't made time for it. So I quite like having this like that, but I've already seen some like just plastic boxes that you can also stack at one of the shops, at one of the bazaars, and I want to get them so I can organize all my ink pens accordingly and just have them laid out, and at the same time, whenever I want, just neatly stack them up very fast. It's not expensive. That would be cool. I've got the extension cords ready so I can have my Mac hooked up and my tablet hooked up and ready to go here, there, and over there if I'm ever at the other side of the house. So basically it's max convenience. I think this could work, and I need to make space for that printer, which I didn't buy today because I wanted to have some more time thinking about it, but I think I've kind of made up my mind. So there's the in-store one, which is A3 size, and there's the one online. I think I'm gonna go for the one in store. I'm gonna check out some more reviews, but I think that one will do me just fine. So then I need to make the space here so it has a home. And then I'm all set. Now I need to rearrange that cabinet. Ah, the joys. Good morning. I think I've just found like a better routine for my Sunday morning. Get up, stay in bed because it's Sunday. But instead of watching a show, I just started watching these time lapses. And so now I'm like, I have to make art. So out of the little bedroom into my new studio, all arranged last night. I just went to the kitchen and came back, and I just had this sense of pride, I'm like, look at this. Just plonk the MacBook down, hook it up, done. Got all my stuff. Yeah. If only this could be like an everyday thing, sitting here every day. This is my job. Well, why not? So let's make that happen. Let's first get dressed. We've got a bunch of Italians at the house, which is a lot of fun. And they like to go out partying, being half my age. And so I need to get out of the house because another thing that really helps me with my productivity is, of course, not staying in this slumbering. It's like, get out of the house, go for a walk, grab a coffee, see something, and then come back, So that's what I'm doing now. Get off the bed. Can't believe they just let me walk out of that sandwich place with like chocolate from my cappuccino all over my face. But they did. So I think my Sunday breakfast time is coming to an end. It's time to head back to the house and get a little art done, you know. I'm thinking of settling down in my new little corner, all reorganized, and get to work on the comic book for a little bit and do a little inking, and you know, so let's check it out. Ta-da! I hope you guys can hear me and that my phone doesn't fall. Got my cup of tea. I've got my setup. I put a box underneath my Mac here, as you can see, just to make it a little bit more convenient, because as much as I've been lusting after a bit of new technology in the last two episodes, my Bluetooth keyboard and trackpad and mouse have all passed away in the last couple of months. But because I didn't really have a setup like this anymore, you know, they're lying around here somewhere collecting dust. So when I was trying this out yesterday, I quickly went into the problem of like, you know, like I've got this little tabletop for my Cintiq, and I was just very uncomfortably sitting here trying to operate two screens and two gadgets at the same time. I've noticed that with certain settings, the lag is perfectly bearable, so I can have YouTube up on here or something else, and I can have Photoshop down here. And the first obstacle I just ran into today was, so I want to do a little bit of sketching, and this is going to be for my phosphor comic, which has been gathering dust also, unfortunately. I want to, like I always do this, I always go through this like this wave, so to speak, and like I noticed that like there's different kinds of waves. So there's like the art and the writing wave, and there's the like playing video games wave, and like there's all these little creative rhythms going on. And so like when I go down on the actual momentous task of making a comic book, I always try and pick up like by continuing art in sketchbooks, so that I maintain this creative outlet, and then it doesn't, like the getting back onto the horse doesn't take as long and is a lot easier, because you are actually drawing, even if it's not, you know, the artistic endeavor that you want. At least you are making some kind of art, even if it's like, for example, in last week's video where is it? Let's see, is it over here? I think this wasn't even in last week's video. So that like, there's this little thing here, just a bunch of faces I drew, and the style in which they were drawn is not mine. I had like some Art Adams images up, so that just kind of seeped into my brain. The faces are not trying to come up with my own characters or like continuing work. I'm just drawing the people that are in the video. And then after that, I pulled open that Legion comic book, and just because my mind, like I just couldn't even begin to contemplate like a comic book page of my own for some reason. Like I just started drawing what was in front of me, you know, and that kind of helps me on the swing back up. So one thing that I always find myself doing when I'm moving back up and like getting back into phosphor proper, and I feel like, yes, I'm ready, like I want to like turn out pages, like, you know, make the actual comic book, is I go through this little exercise of, what is the story about again? So what is this story about again?
And that got me into the first bit of trouble, because while I'm trying to figure out all these little camera angles using the furniture available to me in this room, like this piggy bank, it's ginormous. Check it out, just very quickly. It's kind of funny. This one we bought in Valencia, I believe. Valencia or Cuenca? Last year. So the first obstacle I just ran into is a bit of a silly one. So in the past couple of months when I'm drawing on the Cintiq, one of the things I've been doing is figuring out how to translate my traditional art into the digital realm, and like how to get the tools, which are now neatly laid out over here, like these guys, like these little ink pens. This one, the little Japanese brush. No, not quite. How to turn them into Photoshop brushes. So I've been using, not my own, but then well, I didn't make my own from scratch, but I've been making modifications on tools that like brushes that I bought, and I pretty much have them where I want, but there's a caveat. So one of the tricky things is proportions, and so now I'm in this obstacle where I'm like, okay, so I want to quickly knock out sketches, and I want this to be fast. I don't want to spend too much time on it because I've done this over and over again. It's just like a little reacquainting myself, having a little bit of fun painting and drawing in Photoshop with the comic book. So I don't want to spend too much time on it, and I don't want it to be too taxing on my Mac because I want to not be bogged down in the technicality. So since they're just going to be digital sketches, I can just have them at 72 or 100 dpi, but then that affects the sizes of the brushes. And so I've been, moving the levers around and the sizes around and getting my tool presets to 600 dpi. So if I move this to 72, it's going to mess everything up. So I'm going to have to rearrange that. So I guess I should just not spend too much time on it and just, make it work as quickly as possible somehow. But it has to be in 72 to keep things nice and snappy. But since I've spent so much time talking about a printer and scanner, this is like one of the things, this is one of the things I really feel like I need to buy that piece of tech, sooner rather than later, because I need to just print stuff out and just have it in my hands as quickly as possible, so it could just be like, that's it, that's the size, this is the level of detail that I'm drawing at, because this may seem like an obvious size, and like you can turn it and like say like, well, that's about a comic book page, but you tend to zoom in and out, and so notice how it turned itself off because the cable. Freaking cable. How much money do we pay for these things? And we get a loose cable. It drives me insane. Okay, it's back. Nothing a little duct tape won't fix, I suppose. So the approach I want, this new approach that I've been outlining in the last couple of weeks for when I get back on this, is I just want to lay out, say, 22 to 30 pages, like I just want to make all the Photoshop files and be like, these are the pages. And then like last time when I really worked on, I had this huge thumbnail template of all the pages laid out with all the these characters are on this page, blah, 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 like really meta. Like I want to do that again, but then this time round, I want to focus on dialogue and story first, and then take it from there, allowing the story and the dialogue to decide what should be on the page, rather than my original issue 0, you know, which Ox was kind enough to print off for me, and I've been showing around even this week to my Italian flatmate's friend who's over, and a co-worker. That one was definitely much more a make the story, draw first, add dialogue later. And I had I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed the puzzling and like, okay, so now this is the page. This is what I thought the dialogue is going to be, but I only have this much space. And so I constantly found myself in the problem of the dialogue can be slimmed down, like the text can be smaller, but I don't see that on the screen. So, oh, turn yourself off again. Okay. No. So this is, come on. This is why I would really benefit leveling up my in the tech department here in my toolkit. But it might be this week, it might be 2 weeks from now, kind of depends on. Did this just turn itself off as well? Okay, we're back on. It might just kind of depend on, well, it might just be in 2 weeks from now. I've had a look at my finances in the UK as well, and like the student loan and all that, gone over my limit, which means you get fined and I have to pay the fines, and nothing we can't handle, but like, it's one of those things where I'm like, am I gonna get close to the edge and run out of money? Is it not gonna go there? Am I gonna go over? If I go over, I'm in trouble, and you know, but it's then down to me, and or am I just gonna wait 2 weeks for the next paycheck and it'll be smooth sailing? So things to balance out. But in the meantime, my Pomodoro little clock is ticking. Has it been 10 minutes already? Oh, this is 30 minutes of me talking. So let's get started, shall we? 72 DPI. 72. 8.5 by 11, whatever that is. And we'll turn it into a template straight away. Okay. Fast for sketch. Fast for sketch page. Eight and a half. Okay, save preset. Resolution mode. GB color. Sure. So I guess this is another thing to think about. Where am I going to save it? I guess I'm going to save it in the cloud. New folder. Does Phosphor have its own already? No. That's another thing I have to do this week. Anyway, so yeah. I guess I'll just leave the camera up here and leave it running, and then see what I can come up with. This is my little radial, which you get to make appear. There's a little button here. You can't see it because it's all too dark right now for you guys, but there's a little round button here. You make that appear wherever your cursor is at, but you can pin it. And so I just realized you can draw underneath, which is awesome, because now rather than just going through this mental exercise of like, click the button, there's the radio wheel, and then click, and then, or go here, or use the keyboard shortcuts, which I'm much more adept at. If I just leave it on the screen out of the way, I wish I could make this go away though, but I can't. Then it's kind of perfect, because then I have it here, it's there, it's out of the way, it's there, you know, I'm ready to go. Okay, I want to tell most of the story in a series of images. Fast. Fast. Okay. So, as before, I try and set the scene by drawing the vessel that they're traveling in and setting the scene, if you will. And this, you know, like here I am rendering, like every time I do this, I kind of add little details here and there on the ship, which is kind of fun. But I had this weird thought, and I've had this thought before. What if I start right here? So I start the day, it's a working day. So the one of the team leaders, if you will, is making a whole lot of coffee and tea to get everybody up and running. And you never really find out what kind of vessel exactly they're on until much later on. Because then, I mean, if you started off with like a sci-fi looking vessel, on the one hand, it's a real hook. It's like, oh, that's cool. I now know what genre this is. And I like spaceships, or I like strange vehicles, and it's sci-fi, and like, okay, like it kind of sets the mood, like to kind of be open-minded, like you don't know exactly what kind of time and place you're in. But on the other hand, if you take that away and you just focus on the work at hand and the relationships that are, you know, shown before you, and you get to see the interior of this strange vessel, and they talk about it like how they're traveling, even though the interior looks like the inside of a building. You know, like I think in a way it's kind of a cool reveal, if you will, once you finally get to see the actual ship from the outside. So yeah, that's kind of the thoughts I was having as I was making this. So for the next panel I dug into, so this one I am really not looking forward to drawing in the actual final render of the comic, because this winding staircase, of course, has the kind of chicken wire mesh around it, as they tend to do. And I think that is going to completely do my head in, even with the aid of a little Photoshop here and there, just to get the blueprint for it going. Of course, I'm going to have to find a way to stylize it like I do here, so I don't have to draw everything. But finding a way to stylize, you know, like repetitive patterns, and at the same time, like you want to have that cool, you know, like you know exactly what it is, but it is actually what it is, not just stylized, if that makes sense. It's kind of hard to explain what I'm saying here. Like basically I'm saying I'm going to have to do this hard work of rendering that whole thing in this particular scene. But with the background, I was having a lot of fun here, because this being the third or fourth time I'm drawing the interiors for these particular scene, I'm finding these variations. And so here, the influence of a game like BioShock, where they go into this underground city, if you will, and that is definitely a motif that is in my story, in the story of Phosphor, is coming out to play a lot more, with a lot of steel and a lot of just, you know, like the bare skeleton of what it once was, and then with a patchwork of wood and whatever scrap they found on their travels, you know, the people who live there and work there have patched it up and made it a new space that they call their own. So these are like the sleeping quarters where she's walking up to wake everyone up with all those coffees that she's not carrying. I need to think about that. Unless she's inviting them over to the canteen or something. Cantina. So yeah. But I really like where this is going. Like, it's really high, and it kind of shows the very, like, the space they're in inside the vessel, which you may now not know is an actual vessel, but you may think it's the inside of a building. It's very tall, it's very open, and they have their own labyrinth of scaffolding, I guess the word is I'm looking for, that they then, you know, that you can imagine yourself having fun running around and jumping off and climbing onto. That's kind of what I want. Like, I want it to be an inviting space where, like, you want to be in that space, like, and climb on it and have fun, like you will later see the kids do. So this is like the first glimpse of that on the opening pages. So yeah. What else went through my mind drawing this? I went too granular. Like, I thought originally, like, well, I'm gonna do like 10 drawings and they're just the whole story from start to finish. And then when I was actually doing this, because I want to get started on the comic book, I had these conflicting desires, like what I was actually going to draw, and I actually got a little too granular. And so these are really like the beats of the opening pages rather than the whole entire opening comic book. So that means I still have my work cut out for me this week. No stopping here. I'm going to keep plowing on. Yes. So, you guys. So that about wraps it up, my little update for this week's SketchaLona. Every week I show you some of the sights and sounds here in Barcelona. I hope you dug the little impromptu market I stumbled into, and my ramblings about, you know, gadgets I may or may not buy. And the little work I've been doing on my comic book, like trying to get back into the swing of things, because there's no such thing as working on your own little passion project. I hope you are having fun with yours, and I'll be checking out your videos. Sure, just leave a comment down below so I can follow you home to your channel, and I'll be seeing you guys next week